The man that hit Brian crossed the center of the road. He hit Brian at the end of our driveway. He was sitting on his bicycle. His car dragged Brian and his bicycle about 125 feet. The man who hit him got out of his car at that time and urinated on the side of the road. It was as though my child meant absolutely nothing to him. Nothing.
I responded to a crash early one morning. A young male driver was traveling at a high rate of speed, went around a turn and wasn't able to make the turn, flipped the vehicle approximately 6 times in a field and was ejected in that crash. And unfortunately, he did lose his life.
On October 20th, 2008, a 17-year-old driver who had his driver's license for only 2 weeks had loaded the car with 5 kids. He lost control of the vehicle and it slammed headway into a tree. The backseat passengers, 2 girls and my son Ryan, weren't wearing their seatbelts. All the kids were seriously injured in the crash in different degrees, and my son lost his life.
There are more people killed on our highways in Maryland than there are people that are murdered.
There are about 486 traffic fatalities a year in Maryland, which is about 1 every 18 hours.
And we don't believe any deaths on our highways are acceptable, and we want to move incrementally towards 0 deaths.
Every single life in Maryland counts. That's why we've adopted the Towards 0 Deaths campaign.
Towards 0 deaths is more than a program. It's the incorporation and the unification of all our highway safety programs.
The idea is to bring law enforcement, highway safety personnel, and communities together to reduce accidents down to 0. Every single accident above 0 is unacceptable.
He was just another child that could be anybody's child, anybody's loss. When you're driving impaired, it is never an accident.
Now, Ryan had the misfortune of being the son of 2 police officers. So I would have bet that he was always wearing a seatbelt, but on this tragic night, we recognized that he must have got in backseat of a car with his peers between 2 girls and failed to do what he used to always do, which was buckle his seatbelt. A momentary lapse caused him to lose his life. Seatbelts work. They work after you make a mistake, and we know that when they're worn and worn correctly, they will save your life and possibly prevent injury.
It's always difficult to go tell a mother that their child is dead. It's obviously the worst part of the job. It's particularly discouraging to us when it didn't need to happen, and often if that child has been speeding, it didn't need to happen.
It certainly can be prevented. People are in a hurry to get nowhere, and through this aggressive campaign towards 0 deaths, our goal was to change that.
There's a commitment across the entire state to work toward the 0 death goal.
Slow down, buckle up, and always drive sober. If you choose not to do either of those 3, I promise you, we are going to find you, we're going to identify you, and we're going to take appropriate action.
Death is final, it is absolute, it is unforgiving, and you never get a chance to say I love you even one more time.
We are all working towards 0 deaths in Maryland.
Because every life counts.